Hello viewers, Murray here with Murray's Mobile Mechanics and welcome to the channel. So today we are working on a 2012 Kia Soul. This is the 2.0 liters. This is the one I've done a bunch of works for this customer. He's one of my regular customers. So today we are changing motor mounts or engine mounts, whatever you can call them. And we've done the engine mounts before, I think it's about 4 months ago, and the customer wanted to actually go cheaper. We bought them online, a set of 4, I think for about $150, but they did not last. They only lasted about 3 to 4 months, and the car is making a lot of noise under the engine. The car is vibrating. So today we are changing the engine mounts with the OEM parts. We bought them from Kia. So let me flip the camera, I show you the mounts, and then we go from there. So this is the engine mounts that we bought from Kia. You can see we still have the Kia logo right there and the part number right there. This should be the transmission mount, and that's the part number right there. And then this is the torque strut mount, the one that goes at the bottom, and that's the part number right there. And this is the passenger side motor mount, also from Kia, you can see right there, and this is the part number right there. So I'll go ahead and change these ones out, and I'll make a video for each one of them, and then we'll split the videos into 3. So we'll start with the right side motor mount. So let me set myself up first. Let me show you how the engine is behaving, and you see how it's rocking back and forth when you shift gears, and then we go from there. Hello viewers, so I'm gonna go inside the vehicle, do the power brake. You see how the engine is rocking back and forth, and then we go from there. So I just did the power brake. I don't know if the camera caught that, and I don't know if the camera caught also the engine vibrating. So that itself will cause a lot of damage if you let it continue like that, because you see how the engine is rocking back and forth. This car has got electrical wires, so you know, if you let it continue like that for a long time, you're going to stretch the wires or break them, and then you have all sorts of electrical problems. And also just the engine vibrating doesn't actually sound right. So definitely that's a telltale sign that your engine mounts are bad. So I hope you caught that on camera. So I'll go ahead and set myself up. We start with the right side, and then we go from there. Hello viewers, so pretty much this is what you're gonna need on the right side motor mount. It's just a floor jack, a block of wood like this one, just to support on the oil pan so that you don't break the oil pan. You need an impact wrench, you need a ratchet. This is just to loosen the bolts before you use the impact wrench, just to speed up the process. You need the 2 extensions, and all you need is a 70mm socket and a 40mm socket. So let me set myself up under the vehicle. I'll put the jack under the oil pan, and then I'll bring you guys back when we come to the top side. Hello viewers, since our jack is set up at the bottom, so you can do this either way. So you can either take these one bolt right here, these 2 nuts, and this other nut right here, take the bracket out, and then you access the motor mount from the bottom. But to make it easy and quick, we'll just take off this nut right here, and then we'll raise up the engine as much as we can, and then we can take these other 3 14mm bolts. So we'll go ahead and take this nut out just like so. And what we are going to do right now is we are going to jack up the vehicle. I'll use my jack to raise up the engine so that we can create room for this mount to come out. So you can see this mount now is free. So right now let me switch to my 40mm socket. We take care of these 3 14 millimeter bolts and one nut right here. Hello viewers, so this is the new one, and you can see it's a genuine Kia part. The part number is right there, and then you can see we got the logo for Kia right there. So definitely this should sort out our problem. So right now I'll go ahead and put this one, and putting back this one is basically just the opposite orientation of taking the old one out, but I'll show you how it goes back in. Hello viewers, so right now we'll go ahead and install the new right side motor mount just like so. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you set it up on the stud right here, and then you can move it just to center the other bolts. So we'll start by centering the bolts by hand. So I'll tell you one thing, it's always good to put some anti-seize on the bolts so that you don't have trouble getting these ones out. So right now you make sure you start the bolts by hand, get as many threads as you can before you switch to your impact wrench. So right now I'll go ahead and use my impact wrench, and then I'll bring you guys back. Hello viewers, so after you set up your bolts and nut, all you have to do right now is use your impact wrench to speed up the process just like so. And right now I was going to show you how to set this one in, because I have to use both hands, so and there's no better way I can set up my camera. But all you have to do right now is lower the jack and then just align the bolt stud for the mount so that it comes through right there. So I'm going to do that off camera, and then I'll bring you guys back. Hello viewers, so you can see I've set up my motor mount, but if you look carefully, it's not centered on the hole for this bracket right here. So you can see the center stud is away right there, and it's not centering no matter what. So these are some of the tricks that people don't point out when they're making videos, and that's how, when you're doing it yourself and then you don't actually see what it takes, you end up being stuck somewhere. So there is tricks that you need to know before you undertake certain jobs. So pretty much you can see, like I said, it's not centered. So the trick is don't torque these all the way down. You can see I haven't torqued them all the way in. The same with this one. This is just to give the mount this movement right here. You need that slack, because that's what's going to allow you to center this center bolt for the mount with this hole right here. So all you have to do is move it like so, and then have someone lower the jack for you. You can see right there the bolt is almost showing, because I'm using one hand. If I use two hands, it will center, and then you can lower the engine. So I'm going to do that off camera, but pretty much this is what I wanted to point out. Make sure you don't torque these all the way. Let them have this play, and then you can move this stud like so. If you use two hands, you can have it centered just like so. So let me do that off camera, and I'll bring you guys back. Hello viewers, so I had to use two hands to actually push the bolt this way, and like I said, this is rubber, so it will move. And right now I'm going to lower the jack slowly, and then you can see the mount actually sitting in place just like so. So right now what I'm going to do is just torque the bolts to spec, and then that should be it. Hello viewers, so right now it's just time to actually torque the bolts just like so. Make sure you got most of the threads so that you don't damage the threads, because that's going to be another nightmare right there. So I'll go ahead and torque the bolts to spec just like so. And for this one I have to switch to the 17 millimeter socket. So let me do that, and then I'll bring you guys back. Hello viewers, so right now we just tighten the nut just like so. And pretty much That's all it takes to do this passenger side motor mount. Pretty easy, just the 14 millimeter bolts, one nut, and then the 17 millimeter nut. So pretty much that, and then you got your mount actually replaced. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share for more tips on how to fix your vehicle. Marais here with Marai's Mobile Mechanics. Stay blessed, be good, and I'll see you on the transmission side. Hello viewers, Marais here with Marai's Mobile Mechanics, and welcome to the channel. So this time around I'll show you how to replace the transmission mount on this 2012 Kia Soul, which is a 2.0 liters 4-cylinder engine. So let me flip the camera and then walk you through. So that's our vehicle right there. So we have to take a couple things out to get to the transmission mount. We have to take these clips out. I took them off already with a screwdriver. You can see this comes off just like so. This comes off as well, and then we can actually take this air filter knuckle out. We'll put it on the side together with the clips, and then we'll come back. I loosen this clamp with a 10 millimeter socket right there. So this is good to go. All I have to do is take the clamp off on each side, and then this cover comes off just like so. We'll put it on the side. We'll take this air filter out. We'll put it on the side like so, and then I believe this is held by some 10 millimeter bolts. There's one down there, and then there's another one down there. You can see shiny right there. So I'm going to take those out of camera, and then I'll bring you guys back. Hello viewers, so I took the two 10 millimeter bolts with this setup right here with the long extension and impact wrench and the 10 millimeter socket, and then we can just raise this air filter box just like so. What is holding it is just a rubber grommet, so you gotta use a little bit of force just like so, and then you can actually take it out just like so. So once you take it out, now we have a little bit of room to play with. So I'm gonna disconnect the battery. By the way, my customer looks like he has some aftermarket system, so we'll disconnect the negative terminal of the battery first, and then the positive, and then we are going to take the battery out, and then I believe there should be a battery tray at the bottom. We'll take that one out as well, and then definitely by then we should expose the transmission mount. So let me do that off camera, and I'll bring you guys back. Hello viewers, so if you disconnect the negative pulse of the battery and the positive, the battery won't come out. So if you look further at the back right here, there is two 12 millimeter bolts right there. Those two, they hold a bracket that locks the battery in place. It is also connected to this ECM right here. So let me take the battery out, and then we see what else we got. Hello viewers, so we got the battery out, and this is where we are looking right now. We got the battery bracket. You can see it is held by a couple 12 millimeter bolts. There's two right here. There's also one right there, but this one is hidden by the ECM, and I believe we have a 10 millimeter bolt right there holding this positive terminal wiring. And if you look, this ECM is held by this 12 millimeter bolt right here, and you can see it's in the way. So we are going to take that 12 millimeter bolt out with a 12 millimeter socket, take these bolts out of camera, and then with a 10 millimeter bolt out, and then we'll have access to the transmission mount. So let me do that, and then I'll bring you guys back. Hello viewers, so after taking the 10 millimeter bolt that was holding the positive wiring to the battery bracket, and then the other 12 millimeter bolts, you can see once we took the battery bracket out, you can see we have actually the transmission motor mount exposed like this. So pretty much right now all we have to do is take off this I believe this is a 14 millimeter bolt right here. We have another 14 millimeter bolt at the back right there. We have another one right there. We have a 40 millimeter nut right there, and then we have the two 17 millimeter bolts right there. So we're gonna take those, and then pretty much our mount should be out. I'm not sure whether we'll take this bracket out, but we'll see. In the meantime, this is where we are. So it's going to be the same setup, a block of wood, and we are going to set up the floor jack with that block of wood under the transmission, because we need to actually take off the tension of the transmission once we loosen the bolts, and it will be able to help us maneuver the transmission up and down to center our bolts. So let me do that and then I'll bring you guys back. Hello viewers, so that's our setup right there. You can see the jack, a block of wood, and under the transmission pan right there. No, actually what I've done, I've gone in between the transmission and let me say I'm on the bell housing right there. That's the strongest part, so definitely that's our setup at the bottom. So let me go up and then we'll see how it goes from the top. Hello viewers, so our motor mount is right there, and the first thing I did was I loosened each and every bolt using my ratcheting wrench right there with a 70mm socket and a 14mm socket. So right now we are just going to speed up the process. We'll go down like so in the back right there to loosen this one in the back all the way, just like so, and you can see it comes off just like so. We still have a paper that we used last time, and then we'll go to this one right here, do the same, and we'll go to this one right here and do the same. So I'm gonna take those bolts out just like so, the nut out just like so. We'll put them right there so that we don't lose them. And now I'll switch to the 17mm socket. We take these three out. Hello viewers, so it's time to take the three 17mm bolts out. They are already loose. This is just to speed up the process. You see right there, once we take that remaining bolt, the engine tends to go down a little bit, so we are going to raise it up with the jack just like so. And we'll go ahead and finish up taking out the other bolt. So we'll take the three bolts out just like so. We'll put them somewhere safe so that we don't lose them, and I'm pretty much sure this mount will come off just like so. And this is the one right here. So let's do some comparisons with the new one and then we go from there. Hello viewers, so we got the 2 mounts. This is the old one I just took out, and this is the new one. They look exactly the same. Let me turn them the other side. You see that they look exactly the same. So they look exactly the same, and I'll show you the reason why the other one failed. I don't know if you're able to see on camera, but let me put it this way. We have these stress marks, you can see right here and on this side, and that's the reason why this one failed. And like I said, the cheaper ones, they don't last too long. So we got the new one, which looks intact, of course, OEM part. So let me show you another thing as to why this one is actually failing. So if you see, I don't know if you can catch it on camera, but this is moving too freely. Let me sit upright. So if I move this mount, you can see it's moving very, very free. And then the new one, you can see it's moving, but just a little bit. So part number for the new one is right there. And of course you can see the Kia label right there. So I'll go ahead and put the new one in, and then I'll bring you guys back. Hello viewers, so we can actually set it up together. We'll go ahead and slide our new one in just like so. We'll slide it in just like so. You make sure the stud is in, and then I'll start by setting up the back board in the back right there. I know it's hidden, and then we'll put the other one right there, and then we'll set up the other three on top. So let me do that off camera and I'll bring you guys back. Hello viewers, so you can see I'm showing the entices bottle right here. This is to tell you that I've put some entices on the bolts. This is just to make it easy for the next person and just to make sure the bolts don't seize for the next person too. So pretty much what is remaining right now is just centering the bolts. We'll start with this one right here. I know this is tricky. The one in the back is even more tricky. So let me grab the socket with it's just a slight paper towel trick on the socket that will make sure the bolt holds onto the socket so that you can center it from the back right there, because it's tricky. So let me do that and then I'll bring you guys back. Hello viewers, so you can see I've put my paper towel in the socket and then put the bolt on. This just helps the the bolt not to fall down. I used this last time, and I think if you look closely, when I was taking the bolt that goes in the back, we still had the paper towel that I used last time. So I'll go ahead and center my bolt just like so. And make sure you start your bolt to go in, get as many threads as you can. And then you can see just the socket comes out, the paper has remained, which is the paper towel. And then we'll switch to this side as well and do likewise. Start the bolt, get as many threads as you can, and then we'll leave it just like so. And now we have to center this one right there, and we'll go ahead and start installing these 317mm bolts. So the middle one is in, get as many threads as you can. We'll move to the other one and do likewise, and we'll come to this one and pretty much do the same. So this one I need to align it. It's off alignment, so I gotta use both hands. So you can see I've set it up already. All it needed was just me to push this bracket this way and then align it with the hole, and pretty much that's all it needed, just an extra hand. So now since we got most of the threads on, you can see my extension and the socket are still there. We'll start with the 14mm bolts. We'll go ahead and just tighten them with the impact wrench to speed up the process. So this one is on. We'll switch to this one on this side right there. Do the same, and then with the nut right here as well. And then now I'll switch to the 17mm socket, and then we'll do likewise on these three bolts right there. Hello viewers, so right now I've switched to a 70mm socket to tighten these three 17mm bolts. So you'll see once I start tightening this one, it's gonna pull the transmission up because the threads now are pulling the transmission all the way up. So what I'm gonna do a little bit is I'm gonna raise the transmission up a little bit so that we don't have too much stress on the bolt and the threads. So right now I'll go ahead and do that. So viewers, after tightening those three bolts, what's remaining is putting back the battery tray, the battery bracket at the back, connect the battery, put your air filter box and the air filter knuckle right there, and then let me do that and then I'll bring you guys back. We conclude the video. Hello viewers, so you can see everything is put back in place the way it is supposed to be. The battery tray, the battery bracket in the back. You can see the battery is not even moving, and the 10mm bolt that connects the positive wire is also connected back on. The clamp with the air filter box and the two 10mm bolts, the shiny one right there, and then the other one right there. The air filter box, the air filter box cover, this clamp is tightened, and the air knuckle and the clips are back in place. So pretty much that's all it takes to do a transmission mount on a 2012 Kia Soul 2.0 2.0 liters 4-cylinder engine, and pretty much you follow those steps. Basically it's just the two extensions, the ratcheting range, the impact range, 14mm bolt, socket, 12mm socket, 10mm socket, 17mm socket. That's all it takes, together with the jack and that piece, a block of wood right there. So pretty much that's all you need. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share to my channel for more tips on how to fix your vehicle. Murray here with Murray's Mobile Mechanics. Stay blessed, be good, and we'll catch you on the torque strut mount, which is underneath the vehicle on the engine and transmission side. So I'll catch you on that one. Hello viewers, Murray here with Murray's Mobile Mechanics, and welcome to the channel. So right now I'm under the vehicle and I'm going to show you how to replace the torque strut mount on the 2012 Kia Soul, which is the 2.0 liters 4-cylinder engine. So you can see we've secured our vehicle with the jack and the jack stand right there, and then we got our motor mount, which is the torque strut right here. The part number is right there, and you can see of course at the bottom sticker we got the Kia logo, OEM mount from the dealership. And when we come down here, we got our 14mm socket, 17mm socket, 17mm range, and the ratchet right there, and the range right there. And let me set myself up and then we get this job going. Hello viewers, so this is the torque strut right here, and it's only got a 70mm bolt right here, and the nut this side, and then the two 40mm bolts. So we'll start by checking out the 17mm nut right there. We'll use our M12 Milwaukee ratchet. I loosened the bolts and nuts already, so we'll start by loosening the nuts just like so. And then you got the nut out. This is the one right here, and then you got the bolt out as well, just like so. And then we'll switch to our 14mm bolts right there. We use our same M12 Milwaukee ratchet just to speed up the process. I loosened them already, so once you take the two 40mm bolts out, and the torque strut comes off just like so. And this is not pretty bad, but definitely since we are changing all of them, we might as well just take care of it. So right now I'll bring you guys back. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some anti-seize on the bolts, and then let me do that, and then I'll bring you guys back. Hello viewers, so after putting some anti-seize on the bolts, we'll go ahead and install this torque strut mount, and it goes in just like so. So we'll go ahead and start with the 14mm bolts. You can see I put some anti-seize so that these bolts don't seize in there. I'll go ahead and put the other one on the other side just like so. So get as many threads as you can, and then we'll switch to our main bolt, which is, where did it go? Right here. I'll go ahead and install this long bolt. It goes in like so. So right now you can see the engine needs to be wedged. You can see right here the bolt is not aligned. I don't know if you're able to catch it on camera, but all you have to do is you might need some muscle right there, and then insert the bolt on that side, and then you can go ahead and put your nut back on just like so. And what is next is we'll go ahead and tighten the two 14mm bolts just like so. We'll start with this one right here. switch to the other one. Once you get them tight, we'll switch to the 17mm bolting nut. So we'll go ahead just like so. We'll hold the bolt head with a 17mm wrench right there, and then on the other side we'll use our 17mm socket with the ratchet just to speed up the process. And once you get them tight, you can switch to your ratchet just to make sure everything is tight firmly. So right now we'll go ahead and just tighten just like so. That's pretty good. And then we'll switch to our 14mm socket right there for the 2 bolts, and we'll do likewise. Just like so. And we'll do likewise on the other side. And pretty much that's all it takes to replace the torque strut on a 2012 Kia Soul 2.0 liters 4-cylinder engine. Thanks for watching. Stay blessed, be good, and we'll catch you on the next one. Hello viewers, so after finishing the motor mount job, customer told me to just check for anything concerning, because he said he was hearing some sounds under the vehicle. So this is the driver's side. You can see the CV axle boot is torn, and when we come to the passenger side, it's also the same thing. You can see the boot is torn, and then I don't know if you'll be able to catch it on camera, but you see right there, the boot for the rack and pinion is not connected fully right there. So that should be another sound the customer is hearing. So I'm going to recommend the rack and pinion and the 2 CV axles. So depending on what the customer approves, then we'll make a video for those two. Stay tuned.